So hello everyone, it's been a while, our hair has gone as well, but we have gathered to reply to your questions. So this is UWC Q&A, welcome to the video. These are my friends, they can introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm James, I'm from Canada.
I'm Almer, I'm from Japan.
Hey, I'm Georgi, I'm from Georgia.
Okay, so let's get started. Let's go from the beginning. By Badal Gupta. I'm going to UWC Changshu China. Any suggestions?
Don't go.
We don't know much about that particular UWC, but generally, now that we are at UWC, we fully recommend you to go because it's an experience of hard academic and manageable social life. But yeah, overall recommended. I don't know about UWC Changshu China though.
I think.
Yeah, I have no idea. There are some people that are in that school or have been in that school in this school, so maybe you can try to contact them through Instagram or something because like we have absolutely no idea. That's cool, but if it's UWC, I'm sure it's going to be a good experience for you. This is by Beatriz Amaya. In the first selection phase, you had to talk about a theme. What do you recommend doing about? First of all, I went through the Spanish committee. You went through the Georgian committee. This guy, by the way, he didn't say it, but he's a day student. And what committee did you apply through, James?
It was kind of like a Frankenstein one, but it was more or less through the Canadian National Committee. But it was a combination of essays, but then also having personal interviews like here at this campus. So
yeah, so I would say generally, because I'm sorry, but I cannot talk specifically about the process. But just actually be yourself, because then people will actually know you, the people that decide if you're going to the school or not, and then they will take you to the best school for you, or maybe if you're actually going to struggle in those 2 years, they will just decide that it's not good for you. So like the best thing is to talk about what are your passions, just be yourself.
yeah, and because like ultimately if you're trying to put on a persona of someone that you're trying to be, but you're not actually that, and you end up going, you're not going to enjoy it as much because this place might not suit you as much as this person that you're trying to portray.
I don't know, it's gonna sound really cliche, but generally what was said, that just be yourself, is like generally the only tip that we can give right now, because that's basically the whole selection process. They do not ask any particular skills out of you, they just want to know who are you, what type of person are you, and when you just show them your true self, if not, I'm sure like they're gonna just know. It's really obvious, and yeah, best of luck to you.
Yeah. Now this is a question from Rob Baldero. How different are the Netherlands from Spain? How are your countries different to the Netherlands?
For me, in Canada, it's not as cold as people think. Like, yes, the winters are freezing, but at the same time, summers are nice and warm. Seasonal depression is very real. No, but I don't know. It's just super cloudy. We get a decent amount of rain, and the weather's pretty bipolar. But when the sun's out, it's super nice. So,
I've been living in the Netherlands for 11 years, so I can't really compare it to any other country. However, it is a very good place to live, and I really like the ability that you can just bike everywhere, and everywhere is really easily accessible by bikes.
Yeah. Also, the Netherlands, they painted that this a very expensive country, but to be fair, it is not that much expensive compared to Spain, as a lot of people think. So it obviously has some pros living in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I don't know compared to Spain, but generally if you come from a mountainous region, expect that when you look, you're just gonna see no mountains, you're just gonna be straight x-axis, whatever.
Yeah, same. No mountains here, it's absolutely flat. It's extremely cliche, but it's true. This is by Maria Tudor. Were you chosen for the first time or the second year that you applied to UWC? In my case, I was chosen the first year. A lot of people try again and they get chosen. Yeah, if you have been rejected, you can of course try again. When were you chosen? First or second year of applying?
First as well.
Yeah, first as well.
Yeah, same. But it's based on your age most of the times. I was too, when people from my class applied, I was too old, but the second time I was too young or something, so I had like one chance. So I was born literally like in between.
Oh, so you got accepted in the first one, right?
Yes.
Oh, so okay. This question is by Rohan. Who is the best RM? So just for context, RM is the residential mentor. So it's essentially we live in floors and you have one kind of adult overlooking you, and there's different floors, so there's like this debate who is the best RM. What can I say? For me, I think the best one is Michelle. She's a sweetheart. If she's watching this video, I love you, Michelle.
We love Michelle.
Yeah, she's absolutely she's so nice.
Yeah, this question is really biased. It depends on which floor you come from. But in my case, and in many people's case, it's Vlad. Because overall, he's a really nice guy. He works hard, and he really sees us and looks at us as a family. When he texts us, he literally just mentions kids or like, yeah. So generally, it's like a family type of relationship. So it's really wholesome.
Yeah, I mean, me and Angel were on the same floor, so we both have Michelle as an RM, and she's honestly like a mother to us. She's super sweet, super kind. So, like as Georgi is saying, it's very biased, but yeah, I think a lot of the RMs here are really great. So,
Almer. This is by Rosa Brunbauer. Sorry if I didn't pronounce your second name correctly. Who sucks at Mensa Duty? Essentially, Mensa Duty is we have a place where we eat called Mensa. After you're done some weeks of the year, you are in charge of cleaning the place. I was in her group. So, I mean, the guy that is very bad at Mensa Duty is Jack Da. The guy, Jack, if you are watching this, you know it's true. He didn't show up at all, but then we actually like him. Like, he's a nice dude. I have recorded some films with him. Who do you think? Have you done Mensa Duty?
No.
I have, but it's at the very start of the year.
Who was the worst person in your group?
I don't even remember, to be honest.
So then probably he really was.
It's probably me. No, I showed up every single day, but yeah, Mensa Duty, it's pretty shitty, especially if you have it around exams. But you can also make it kind of fun if you're listening to music and whatever. So yeah, it's not as bad as people make it out to be.
This question is by Homer Rojo. Is with what age did you get into UWC? Personally, I got here with 15 years old, which is quite soon, honestly.
Yeah, I got when I got accepted, I was 16.
And then same for me, I was also 16.
But you get into school at 16?
No, I had birthday in August, so I came here 17. I'm a big guy.
He's a big guy.
When I got accepted, I was
16 years old.
6 years old.
He was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
But how do you see the school being like? How do you see the school being different after being here so many years?
Well, definitely the entire building changed.
No, but I mean like, because when we see the school, we come here and it's like this new home for us. But at the same time, it takes a lot of time until it feels like a home, because you are used to your past school. But like, to what extent was it different coming here at such a young age?
To be honest, it feels like kind of sad that everyone also had different school experiences. Like, you know, I don't have somewhere else to like look at and be like, oh, my childhood like was so fun and like have those memories. It's more like I have all those memories here, but which is also pretty cool. But whenever I talk to other people, they're always like, doesn't that like make you feel sad a bit, like you've been in the same place the whole life? But this school is pretty good, so like that's my answer.
This question is by Jaime Robledo. What is the hardest subject? James, what is the hardest subject in your opinion?
In my opinion, like as a whole or like my subject package?
Let's say as a whole, and then in your subject package.
As a whole, okay. I don't take like a lot of the hardest subjects, but I'd say either math or physics HL are the hardest. But then also DTHL, I think just because it has such specific mark scheme, like we're both in the same class.
Yeah.
And we both got royally screwed by the last one. But so I'd say those three are probably the hardest, in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, Dutch B, SL. I think that's really hard because every time I try to practice Dutch, like they start talking English to me, and it's really hard to find those like daily Dutch interactions to improve. So I find it really hard to get a good grade in Dutch VSL.
Yeah, I guess like generally nearly all of us here are like in technical subjects. So if you ask us, we're gonna say humanitarian subjects are generally the harder because there's no correct, straight up 2 or 3 answer. It's just you have to state your answers in a really weird way so that it somehow fits around the mark scheme. So I guess for me it's, for example, English, AHL. I don't know about other Englishes. Yeah, I'm not sure. It depends on your English level. If you come here and you do not know English that good, you have to take English B, which I think is going to be the same hardness for you as person who knows English and takes English AHL.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the hardest one because you have to fit into the curriculum really harshly, and I don't really feel like I would use my creativity. I feel like I'm just really following the script. So yeah, I guess that's it.
For us, knowing that we are used to knowing that there is one answer for every problem, but in English it's actually there is no answer. So it's especially hard not to answer the question, but to know how to improve because you don't know what went particularly wrong, as it is just very subjective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to wrap it up, people have their strengths and weaknesses, so people might find math AHL like easier, or they'll find English the hardest or whatnot. So it really depends, but I think objectively speaking, I don't know. I think for me personally, physics, math, whatever.
This question was asked by Denise. What is the hardest part about being a residential student?
Okay, I think probably the lack of privacy. This year we have a bunch of 5-person rooms, and I think a lot of the residents were designed for 4-person rooms. So just having like that one extra person, it made a big difference in the dynamics in the room, like where your stuff is. I think for me it's definitely like privacy. Here it's an extremely social place, so it's a bit hard to find alone time sometimes. But I mean, that's what you kind of figure these things out. Like you go for walks, you go for runs, you go to the gym, you play sports. People have their different methods of finding their own privacy, I guess, in different ways.
Yeah, I also agree with James. I think the privacy issue is the most common one among the residential students. Like when you just go into someone else's room, you just see curtains everywhere near the bed, and lockers just locked up, and your stuff is sometimes really hard to manage where to keep. So I would also say that like the privacy issue and the space issue is the biggest one among the residential students.
Yeah, I also agree with both of them, but I also want to add the fact that you don't have your space when you are at your home. You have your bed, you have your bathroom, and everything. It's not that you don't have privacy, which definitely as well plays a big role, but yes, the fact that you don't connect that much to that room, especially in the first months. So it takes quite some time to build that space around you, but at the same time, it is also good because you actually grow as a person, and you actually learn a lot of things just by not owning space. You learn how to live without a space. So when you enter a new house, it feels so big, and you're like, actually, I don't need that much space. And Almar, let's adapt this question. What is the hardest part about being a day student?
So the hardest part about being a day student, before the DP years, you're in what's called the middle years program, which is MYP. And in MYP, it's only day students. But then when you transition into the DP program, you're introduced to I don't know how many new students it is, but 150, let's say, residential students. So compared to the 60 day students that you've had in the previous years, it's such a big change. And you go from being the only students, only group in the school, to being now the minority. And in the beginning, in the first weeks of school, it's really hard to, well, not even in the first weeks. I think in general it's really hard to socialize so much with the residentials when, of course, they spend a lot more time together, so they get to connect to each other way faster than as a day student I get to connect to them. So in my opinion, that's the hardest part of being a day student.
At the same time, if you think about it, it's obviously hard to adapt to so many new people, but you also have your friends. You know what I mean? You might just
Yeah.
become here without knowing no one. But then it's true that like in the long run, it's harder for harder for you.
Harder
to-
for you because we get closer
Yeah.
and closer while like you do not really get as close because we usually live together, you know?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're
So,
like you're the square root of x. you're like the square root of x. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
But then we're
That's
like,
actually
you're
true.
like we're x squared.
Like we intercept the x-axis, you know?
No, but I'm like square root of x plus
Plus,
plus 10 because I'm already so much higher than you because the 10 is like
Oh, that's
I
true.
already have.
Oh,
friends.
yeah, that's
but then it gets to the middle point like where we both functions.
Yeah, but yeah, they intersect.
And now we're just like, do you think we have reached that intersection?
Nah. Because I still feel so comfortable with like my friend. I don't know, like to be honest, I don't know how like strong of a connection you can get with living with people for 2 years because I've never been a residential. But for me, I feel like the connections I've made with the friends I have, like
Yeah,
it's
it's
10
much
years.
That's true.
So I don't know if that will ever intersect because like I know my friends for so long, I'm already so connected with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you wish you were residential?
Well, don't put this in the video, but
This question was asked by Ainalam. What was the biggest cultural shock when you got there?
Like the cultural shock thing, it was kind of the first theme that we got introduced to in the first 2 weeks of the UWC, how to get used to like the cultural shock and what it really means. So I guess it's not really like a moment when you just receive a cultural shock or something. It's just something that is like over a period of time. Like it's just that when you talk to other people from other parts of the world, you talk about different things in a different way than your friends back home. So it's something that is that people here get used to quickly, and I'm sure that other people also get cultural shock when they talk to you. So there's a certain pattern.
Yeah. James?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with a lot with Georgi's saying. It's cultural shock. It's definitely something that happens over a period of time. And I know for me, there's something that's been like super normalized back home, but for a few of my other friends, that's definitely not the case. And so these are things that you kind of learn over time, and like these differences. But then as well as I think the environment, like for me, it took a bit of getting used to everyone just constantly being on bikes, and this being like the main like way of transportation and getting around here. Like I remember getting into Amsterdam, and I don't like back home. I'd never look for bikes, but here it's like it's instinct now. So yeah.
Yeah. For me personally, if I have to choose one coming from Spain, it would be the dining time because it's much sooner in the day here. But yeah, if I have to choose one, it's that. But as Georgi said, cultural shock is something that everyone suffers to some extent. Even if you don't think you will suffer from cultural shock when you come to UWC, I am sure that even if you come from the same country to a UWC in that country, to some degree you will also experience cultural shock just because you are exposed to so many cultures, and that in a way opens your eyes and your mind so much, and I think that is one of the hardest but at the same time most beautiful part of the UWC experience. This question was asked by Remla. How do you manage your time?
Personally, I don't. No, I think something you learn being here is developing techniques and methods that work for you, that allow you to work in the most efficient way possible. So for me, like for certain for certain classes, I use this app called Notion. Something I use a lot to keep everything on track is Todoist. It's a great app. As well as Google Calendar, that's been a big saver for me. So I think developing methods which can keep your days organized, and making sure that you're meeting deadlines, tests, assignments, etc. I think that's been a big one for me.
for me, like I have subjects such as math, AHL, and physics HL, and even econ HL fits under this category. But those subjects are subjects that it's way better for you to do a little bit of revision every day rather than let all of it before a test. And that's what I do to manage my time. Instead of just doing an insane few days studying for those subjects, what I do is just do a little bit of those subjects every day so that yeah, so that it's easier to manage the workload.
Yeah, I think for me it's the kind of the same case because it's kind of based on your subjects as well. Like for example, I take math, physics, and chem, which are kind of are considered as hard subjects that generally require overall, like as Almer said, overall time, like to allocate the time throughout the day. So how much are you going to spend here, so that at the end of when you have an exam, you're not gonna study the whole previous day. But sometimes it's the case that you just want to go out and have fun and talk to people in the common room or chill with your friends, and you don't really have that. Like there are some people who don't really have the dedication to really work that day and leave like 1 hour of free time, and that's like something many people want to do. But I guess most important thing is like the dedication and the motivation of why you come here at the school to just do best of what you can.
Yes, I kind of agree with all of them. The problem here is that you want to do a lot of things, but you have not enough time to do all of them. So what Georgi said is all about prioritizing and finding the purpose of why you came here. Plus, I think once you know why you came here, once you answer that question, which you might think you know, but probably you don't know at the beginning of the year, everything becomes much easier. Taking those decisions, should I study, should I stay with my friends, it actually becomes a lot easier. And also, I agree with Almar. If you do a bit every day, you actually have a lot of time in the day. How much time do we have in the day after school finishes to going to sleep? Maybe 6-7 hours.
Yeah.
If you study, let's say you study 3 hours every day, you still have 4 hours to be with friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just finding that correct balance, and everything just comes along. Plus, another very important tip is to actually find fun in studying. For example, when I study, I always try to do it with friends. Maths, physics, I do it with Almar or Georgi. So once you are having fun doing something, it doesn't take that much effort to do it. And the last question, asked by Asim Atash: if you could tell one advice to yourself when you entered UWC, what would it be?
I would just give myself good resources to study subjects, because coming here you just need to know like specific resources to what to use in a specific subject, like math, revision village 100%, Christos Nicolaides. Physics, I would just straight up go to Tsokos, start learning from Tsokos, and yeah, like chemistry Pearson book is really good, and yeah, it's just my recommendations in this game.
Yeah, I would say to myself that watch who are your friends, because they are a great influence of who you will become. And yeah, I think that would actually that is a very helpful piece of advice.
I think I'd agree with what Ankhel said. They do, because you have a limited amount of time here, so you want to spend the time with the people who you enjoy the most. As well as, I'd say to myself, it's not that deep. No, but just don't take everything so seriously, just have fun, enjoy your time.
Yeah. What advice I would give to myself when I entered UWC, probably be like, remember the alphabet better, because it took way too much time to remember all those like letters. So
No, but let's say when you entered the let's say when you entered the plus at 6 years old I already knew the alphabet.
yeah, I did.
Who doesn't know 6 years
I was
old?
speaking Japanese, so I had to learn.
Okay.
When I entered DP, yeah, this is just like what everyone basically says, but just spend time socializing more in the first weeks of DP. I think I was very overwhelmed with DP because back in NYP all the teachers would say DP is such a tough few years of your life. I was very overwhelmed with starting DP. Like throughout the whole summer before this school year, I was very stressed. Like I have to study so much and I have to spend so much time after school on schoolwork. But definitely I should have spent more time socializing with all the new people here, because the community here, the school focuses a lot on the community, and it's actually very nice to be more in that community.
There is more content about what were our thoughts in the first weeks. You can check it in the description. But yeah, this is the end of the video. Final thoughts, guys? Final thoughts?
Final thoughts?
We're four bald men in one room.
Yeah.